Is Bronco bucking, and does the surge continue in Charlottesville? Next on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. All right, everyone, you've locked in to the best in discussion, debate, and analysis here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Like the videos, comment, share, subscribe, do all those good things to help build the channel. You can also help us by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section below. Grab that link, and all you need to do is do your Amazon shopping using that link, and you help build the channel. All right, we are ranking schedules. I love doing this each and every off season, but as a extra bonus this year, this was recommended to me by a number of people that wanted me to project records. So I have not done this in the past until I did my final predictions. So this is not my final prediction, but right now, first week of May, this is my projection for these teams. All right, we're ranking the schedules as well. We have arrived at the 63rd schedule in the country. That means the 63rd toughest or the 8th easiest schedule in the country. Number 11 in the ACC, meaning the 4th easiest or 11th most difficult in the ACC. It belongs to Virginia from the Coastal Division, coming off a fine season last year at 8-5 once they annihilated South Carolina in the Gator Bowl. Was that the Gator Bowl? Whatever it was, the Belk Bowl, the Gator Bowl. I think that was the Gator Bowl, right? 28-0. I watched the game, 28-0 to finish at 8-5. And they were 4-4 in the ACC with a loss out of conference to Indiana on the road. All right. Yes, I was just checking on my Virginia projection for this year. Let's look at the schedule first. Huge game to start the season, so there's going to be a lot of focus on Auburn, Oregon, and a lot of other games to open the season. That one comes to mind. LSU, Texas played the second week of the season, but a lot of big opening weekend games. Miami and Florida obviously moved a week earlier, but that August 31st weekend, a lot of huge national matchups. But in terms of inside the ACC, this is huge for the Coastal Division. This basically decided the Coastal Division last year. The winner of this game in November last year took hold of the Coastal Division, and that was Pitt on the road at Virginia in a close game for most of the way. Pitt took it, and they rode it to a Coastal Division championship at 6-2. And again, these two teams match up, but not in November. August 31st, this could be the game in the Coastal Division. Virginia at Pitt, week 1. All right, and then the Cavaliers go into non-conference play with William and Mary. That's a win on September 6th at home. They've got Florida State at home, so that's Virginia always plays Louisville non-division, but this year they've got Florida State, so that could be a difficult encounter if Florida State bounces back to some degree, which I expect them to some degree, not be a 5-7, 3-5 in the ACC team. And then Virginia's got Old Dominion. Old Dominion obviously latching on to the ACC. A lot of Old Dominion and ACC games against the likes of Virginia Tech and North Carolina, and now Virginia. That makes sense. Virginia's schedule is basically a mirror of Miami's. They play in the same division, so they play the same other 5 teams, and they play each other. And then Virginia also plays Florida State and Louisville in the other division, just like Miami. So why is Virginia's schedule that much tougher than Miami's? Well, they got to play Notre Dame. Miami's got Florida. Virginia's got Notre Dame on the road. I just made that much of a distinction. Notre Dame on the road versus Florida, which is a neutral site game for the Canes. At Notre Dame, September 28th, a winnable game for Virginia, but they will be a decided underdog unless things drastically change between now and then. Open date, which is key for Virginia, which really helps them go into 2 difficult and key games in the Coastal Division. At Miami, that may determine, if they beat Pitt especially, that may determine the Coastal Division Championship. At Miami, October 11th, and then Duke at home. That's their toughest stretch, and that's not really a stretch. It's 2 games there, Miami and Duke. Then they go to Louisville, they go to North Carolina, and they can't trip up on the road, but, it's the ACC Coastal. These teams are going to beat each other. Unless Miami can ascend and play through all that talent and use it on the field and become the dominant team in the division. We have yet to see that. Don't be surprised if we've got a 5-3 ACC Coastal Division champion, as we have many times before. Virginia goes to Louisville, goes to North Carolina at the beginning of November. They've got Georgia Tech at home. They've got an open date, and they finish with Liberty. And how many consecutive years has Virginia lost to Virginia Tech? What's it, 15 consecutive years? And they had the better team last year, and they still lost on a bunch of fluke plays as Virginia Tech stole the game late. Credit the Hokies. Referee calls, they just made better plays, and Virginia Tech earned the victory, but there were some questionable calls in that game. Virginia, regardless of how good their season is, they badly want to beat Virginia Tech. And they've got that game November 29th at home. Virginia with the 11th most difficult schedule in the ACC, so the 4th easiest in the conference. Number 63 in college football out of 70 teams. 8-5 last year, 4-4 in the conference. So what's the projection this year for Virginia right now? I've got the Cavaliers going 8-4 and 5-3 in the ACC. That's the projection for Virginia football. Leave your comments in the section below on your projection on the Cavaliers and any thoughts you have about Bronco Mendenhall, who's gone from 2-10 to 6-7 to 8-5. Does it continue in Charlottesville for Virginia football? Let's talk it up like nobody's business, like nowhere else in college football online, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.